It's astounding. Time is fleeting. Madness takes its toll. But listen closely to Sync Floyd, the podcast where we watch every movie ever made to see if it syncs up to Pink Floyd's 1973 magnum opus, The Dark Side of the Moon. My name is Gareth Blackler, and come up to the lab and see what's on the slab. It's James Barron. Hello.
Hello, Gareth. It's me, the muscle-bound member of the show. I'm so glad that this is an audio podcast because otherwise you'd be blinded by the light reflecting off of my rippling abs. How are you? How is it going?
It's going well.
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited to talk about this wonderful, wonderful flick, Rocky Horror Picture Show. A absolute banger of a movie. What is your history with this flick? Had you seen it before today?
I'm worried I've told the story before, but it is it's my Rocky Horror story, so I can't tell if I've told it on another episode and I don't tell it on the episode about Rocky Horror Picture Show, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But we had this on VHS growing up.
Oh, nice.
And my parents would play it, they would watch it a lot, but would only ever watch as far as Sweet Transvestite. Often only as far as Time Warp. I think getting that bonus song in might have been a mistake. But not in a bad way. It's just I think they didn't run to the VHS in time.
Yeah.
So I had an incredibly strong memory of this movie right up to a certain point. And then there's a whole extra hour of it that years and years later, I think I was in early high school, we finally got to watch the whole film as a family.
Oh, wow.
And it takes a very sexy turn.
Oh, yeah.
Very abruptly.
Absolutely.
So I'd never seen Rocky, the eponymous...
Whoa!
The man whose horror picture show it was.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know about Eddie, even though I was brought up on Meatloaf.
Man.
So when he showed up, I was like, hang on.
Hang on. It's my mate Meatloaf.
So I remember because obviously early high school, everything sexy feels weird in a weird way. And just to know that my parents, this thing we shared was had this very free energy. It was a very strange time, the initial watch. But now I've seen it in its entirety many more times. I've been to a screening.
Whoa,
one of the
cool.
ones where everyone yells at the screen and throws rice and everything.
Awesome.
I thoroughly love this film. What's your relationship with it?
Similar, honestly. Another one that was, my parents also a big fan of the film. Definitely showed it. I think they did show it to us in its entirety when we were quite young. I think before high school, I saw it, the whole thing, but wasn't even attuned to what sex meant, I think.
Yeah.
So it was probably fine. So I sort of had the opposite upbringing with it. Yes, it's definitely one that is deep in my childhood. And I had no strong feelings about it either way really growing up. In terms of how sexy it is. But I don't know. I didn't have that same kind of Berenstein Bears situation where you something that you always remembered one way changes suddenly. That is such a strange thing to have happen. But I am also mad jealous that you've seen it in cinema and done the whole thing, the ceremony of Rocky Horror, dressing as the characters and throwing popcorn and yelling at the screen and stuff. I would love to do that.
It's so good. If any listeners are in Auckland in the next month or so, I think there's 2 separate screenings happening.
Hell yeah.
That are gonna be this. So.
Get on down. This
exactly.
episode is prepping you for that exact experience. So you'll you'll have all the cues. You'll know when to put Pink Floyd on.
Well, that's the thing. This is all podcasters owe this movie so much because this was the first film to really come alive in the extracurricular. It was the first film where people would go to a midnight screening, solely to interact with it, to yell at
Yeah.
the screen at certain times, to, you know, get up and play along. And then shadow casts came up, where essentially the movie will play and people will be playing, well, recreating the whole movie in costume, lip-syncing along right in front of it.
Amazing.
Yeah, and those are like huge things that happen even like, yeah, in little old New Zealand.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's quite like, I'm shocked we're the first people I could find who have done this. The other thing people in the 70s did to interact with movies, which
Wow.
is listen to, well, watch it on mute while listening to Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon.
Man, pioneers. Who knew?
Yeah.
Man, and, like, you would think that this would be the most likely candidate, other than like 2001: A Space Odyssey or something like that, or like Alice in Wonderland, I guess. But like, yeah,
Both of which we haven't covered.
yeah, fuck off. We're not doing those. No. Anyway, yeah, like, so yeah, I'm a big advocate of not talking in the cinema at all. I get really, really upset if people are ruining the experience for other people. It drives one of the things that drives me up the wall completely. This is the sole exception, and like,
Oh, really?
Yeah, it is like fucking. I think this is like the coolest thing ever. Having this like such cult hit. Ceremony surrounding the movie, and like this, like without this we wouldn't have had the same thing happening in The Room. Shout outs to episode 1 of our show.
Yeah.
Also, like, I feel like this led to the kind of thing like Mystery Science Theater and that kind of whole talking over movies idea as like a humorous thing. So yeah, right, it's definitely deep in the lineage of like comedy podcasting about film. Like, so we owe it a lot, and I hope we do it justice. Listeners, the pressure is bloody on, and we're feeling it. We are bloody pressure cooking in our little cupboard studios, all right? For your benefit.
We've delayed this record twice, and we were saying before we started recording, like, this is a high-pressure episode. Yeah,
So I hope
I'm
we
already
crush
like, did I tell my one Rocky Horror anecdote well enough?
No, you nailed it. We're good. We're fine so far, I'm pretty sure. Yes.
It's only downhill from here.
Yeah, get excited, listeners. Yeah, Rocky Horror. What a banger of a film. Bloody love it. Spoiler-free review. Fucking watch this movie if you haven't. It's astounding. All right? It's like such a good experience. And rewatching it for the show was such a joy. I loved revisiting this. I probably haven't seen Rocky Horror in like 8 years or something.
Wow.
And like watching it again, just it brightened my whole week. I absolutely loved it. And then synced it with Pink Floyd, and it was also good. So, you know, can't wait to talk about it. Should we do it, friend?
Yeah, it's the only way. Let's do what we do best.
Okay, how did it sync with the magnum opus, Dark Side of the Moon? Let's do it. Okay, opening title, Speak to Me, you know the drill. The Fox fanfare of this 20th Century Fox, that is covered by like keys and drums. It's not your typical fanfare. I like that. Everything in this is like a stage production through and through. Because if you didn't know, Rocky Horror was a stage production before it was a film, and
it's simply the Rocky Horror Show. The added picture when it became a picture.
Exactly. And the roots of this movie are so deep in the theater. Like, it is featuring many people. Like many people in the cast of this movie were in the original stage production, and. It's just a love letter to theater in a lot of ways, and also just like acting in general, and being the freedom that offers. It's a wonderful piece of media.
The whole like I guess camp scene of the 70s.
Oh yeah,
like just that freedom of drag and punk and like goth, like all together.
Yeah,
just for like, and finally like getting it out as a mainstream movie. That, although it did bomb, like, when it came out, lives on in such a way now that it's introducing this scene and this world to so many people.
Unbelievable to me that it bombed. That is outrageous.
Wild, right? Yeah.
I would kill to read reviews of this when it came out because, like, you would feel so vindicated if you gave this a good review.
Yeah.
Right? And everyone, like, fucking Roger Ebert's like, this is a piece of trash. And you're like, yeah, get dunked. Remember when, Roger, you fool?
You've, like, framed your review on it that's in the, like, free newspaper they hand out at the cafe. And you're like, I was the only person saying it was good.
Oh, the dream. So good. That's the ultimate, like, here's what I would have said to the bully talking to yourself in the shower moment. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yes, so we get the opening titles here with these big old red lips singing a wee song to us filled with classic horror movie references. And yeah, over the song, science fiction double feature, which holy shit does this song rule. It's such a beautiful track. Absolutely love it. But we are having an equally beautiful track, Pink Floyd's Breathe, playing over top. And I'm quite happy about that, honestly. I feel like they're a good match in terms of tone. Both fairly serene and, like, celebratory, I would say. Yeah, loving it. Having these huge lips as well, just singing away, is just such a great way such an iconic way to open a movie. If this were a Rolling Stones show, we would be fucking eating right now.
Yeah.
But tragically, we are not.
Also, the titles, like, so the lips freeze and actual titles come up, and that happens as soon as the guitars kick in for Breathe.
Yes.
The lips stop speaking to me once the song Speak to Me stops.
Oh, mate, so many syncs already. We're in for a bloody treat. I'm loving it. Also, the font for this is, like, very campy horror themed as well. It's the blood drippy font, you know, which, like, I feel like probably made either, like, it's like a reference to, like, 50s horror movies and things like that, black and white horrors. But also, it's like, I just couldn't stop thinking about how much better this font is than the font Chiller. Shout-outs to Chiller.
No shout-outs to Chiller on this end. Chiller comes free with Microsoft computers, right?
I believe so, yes. It's the, like, blood smear font, and it bloody sucks. I feel like every design student used it back in the day. Being like, hey, man, this project, it's got a little bit of edge. All right.
I'm going to put Chiller in red on black, and then add old paper texture on top.
Oh, yeah. This was my move. Stop getting out of my year 11 design playbook. God. So easy.
This is a super graphic design thing. Yeah. And nothing to do with the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I was trying to make something look as 90s as possible, and I just had a huge flashback to studying graphic design in high school, and everyone just Googling grunge texture. And then you just chuck that on top on Photoshop, and you're away laughing.
Call it a day, mate.
Texture. Yeah.
Bloody love the grunge texture. So it puts in so much work. Set that as a mask. Woo! God damn. Anyway.
That's right. Oh, man. This podcast, if you could see it, it's in grunge texture.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Especially the first episodes. Wow. So, yeah. Also, we go into On the Run before the credits end here, which adds, like, a little bit of heightened tension, as it does all the time. But, like, it's not, it's not a sync with anything.
No.
And then from here, we begin the film proper with the wedding of Betty and Ralph, who are not important. They are friends of our two heroes, a hero and heroine, Brad Majors, played by Barry Botswick, who I basically only know from, like, The Spin or whatever it is, that, like, Michael J. Fox.
That's right.
Spin City. Yeah. That was what it was called.
Yeah.
And Janet Weiss, played by Susan Sarandon, of course, looking very, very young, Susan.
Yeah, the absolute legend.
Yeah, for real. Probably, like, did this launch her career? Maybe.
Yeah, pretty much. So, like, they were trying to get a sequel off the ground, and she, by that point, had blown up, and there was, like, they couldn't afford her.
Man, wonder what a sequel of this would have looked like. Pretty insane. God.
There is a script that is floating around. I can't remember what it's called, but the idea is Brad Majors is so changed by this experience, he goes and becomes like a drag performer.
Whoa.
And then his brother has to go track him down. So it's quite different.
Wow.
From the sounds of things.
Man.
Yeah, it fell through, but I think you can read the script online.
Man, that sounds great. That sounds like this movie, but with a grunge texture.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So these two are in attendance at this wedding, and also here in the background, even here, I just want to point out Magenta, Riff Raff, and Dr. Frank himself, all in attendance at this wedding. Frank is playing the part of like the pastor, and Magenta and Riff Raff are posed as effectively American Gothic. Another like art reference. Direct comparison in the movie, though. I believe this painting is in their mansion, and that's why they're dressed this way. But pretty great.
Yeah, that was something I didn't notice as a child, but I suppose I wasn't as familiar with their faces because they were just characters from a 30-minute movie I'd seen.
Yeah. I mean, you aren't really expected to get the American Gothic reference at age like 13, you know?
That's true as well, yeah.
It's kind of fair. There's like a bit of carry on here. Janet catches the bouquet, leading us into the crash sound in On the Run. The crash sound of impending adulthood as, Brad proposes effectively through song with Damn It Janet is the song playing. By the way, song titles in this movie, hilarious. Some of them I had not read like the track listing of the Rocky Horror Picture Show before, because they all just, it feels like it's like a typical musical, right? And that like people just burst into song without introduction or anything. And so like you don't really know the names of any of the tracks that are playing. But yeah, so finding all the names for this was like a new joy for me on this watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that this like happy love romance kind of song is playing with like thunder and lightning ominous in the background, which is great in the like between section of between Time and On the Run here.
Yeah.
Just these ominous chords and ominous thunderclouds as these two characters are unbeknownst singing about how in love with each other they are. Amazing stuff. And like providing backup vocals, Riff Raff and Magenta are still here as well. And they are like just like very frustrated with these people that are still at the church and are like cleaning up after them. I think Brad like draws a little heart on the door to the chapel in chalk, and they just immediately wipe it off, which is just such a fun little detail. They end the song deciding to go and visit their dear friend Dr. Everett Scott, who was their teacher in college. That they met in his class, and so they're going to go like thank him for getting them together, basically is the idea. Yeah. Also in the background here, the chapel attendees are preparing for a funeral.
Yeah, they bring out a whole coffin.
So good. I love just like the heavy-handed like foreboding. Yeah. Amazing stuff. There's like a bunch of like other parts here in the wedding as well that could potentially be foreboding, but could also just be read as like typical marriage stuff. Like I believe written on the car, it's like she got hers tonight, he'll get his, or something like that.
Yeah.
As well, written shaving foam. By the way, this is a thing in weddings that I don't think we do anymore, but was super common like around that era. People like you drive away in the car with like the cans dangling behind, but you'd also like write messages all over the car in shaving foam. Apparently it's
were they always about like my friends are going to have sex on their wedding night?
They were usually like incredibly inappropriate. I know mainly from my own parents' wedding video. which was my science fiction double feature, watching Rocky Horror and then that. So yeah, like it's definitely a thing, at least in my family and in Betty and unknown partner Ralph, their family as well. So there you go.
Wow.
It's just
the idea of you watching your parents' wedding video. I'm just picturing you dressed like a little riffraff as the churchgoer.
Mate, I'm always dressed like a little riffraff. That's a fun fact. You know, we're both like balding but still have scraggly hair. We both have imp-like features. Mate, I aspire
both
to be
server master. Yeah.
Are you my Dr. Frank? Gosh. No, I aspire to be riffraff. What a guy.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's definitely a Halloween costume I've wanted to do many, many times and just haven't, like...
Yeah.
Mainly finding the right wig has been too hard.
Yeah. I've been a ventriloquist doll puppet for 2 of the like last 4 Halloweens that I've been to. Wow. So I'd feel like riffraff's even too close to that. Like,
yeah,
I've figured out a look that works for me. You know, but that's fine. Maybe I'll be riffraff this year. Who knows? That'll be pretty sweet. Excited for 2022. Yeah. Okay. We cut from here to the criminologist, played by Charles Gray, who has, in retrospect of the night's events, is giving us the story here. Bit of exposition. Really good. Played by bloody ex-Prime Minister Muldoon in the stage production when it took place in New Zealand.
What?
Pretty insane. Yeah, that's a sweet fact.
Wild.
I know.
Yeah.
So if you're from New Zealand, you'll and know your history, that you'll get that and be like, "What? Really?" And yeah, the fact that he was down for it is pretty rad.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway.
Wow.
Yeah, but Charles Gray is fantastic. Love this guy. Has an excellent vibe as being this like vaguely domineering detective-y type here in his office with a globe and like many volumes of an encyclopedia. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he chimes in on like the songs as well, and he just like drops in kind of speaking the lyrics. Like a guy who's like listened to a podcast about a song before and is like at the party like, it's just a jump to the left, actually.
Yeah. It is great that they did it that way. I really like it.
Yeah.
He's effectively giving like a police report of everything of the night's events. So the fact that he's like very serious and then eventually breaks character a couple times is a lot of fun. But yeah, he's like looking over the file photos of these 2 kids and also the Dr. Everett Scott. With like in this huge book with a like neighboring police statement next to it, like a statement of events from each of these characters. Which is really good. I would kill to like be able to read each of these because they would be very, very funny. Yeah, he's like, it was a night out they were going to remember for a very long time. And yeah, we get the time solo roaring in as he says that, which is great.
That's a long time as well, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It's like 5 minutes long.
It's a bloody long track. It's mostly solo. And yeah, from here we go back to the kids in the car, and we are placed in 1974 because Nixon is on the radio saying that he's not a crook. So yeah, the year before this movie came out, I believe, is where we're set. And like a year before that, bloody great album came out. So
yeah,
so that's pretty cool.
Connected, you know?
Yeah, might be a link.
Did Richard Nixon listen to the album and go like, this isn't Crook's music. Better tell people I'm not one.
Maybe I'm not a crook. Except he was.
Thanks, Floyd.
Thanks, boys. Yeah, so there's these motorcyclists who are rolling past them like at pace, and it's pouring with rain out here. They're like traveling through the woods to go visit the doctor, and they hit a dead end out here, and as they go to reverse, their tire blows, and of course the spare tire was damaged and unreplaced, as mentioned by the criminologist earlier, and so they're stranded out here in the rain, and they decide. Brad decides to go back to this castle that he saw that they passed, and Janet's like, "Well, I'm going to come with you because they're in it together." And so they rock up on this castle, and Pink Floyd say, "Come home cold when I come home cold and tired."
Yes,
which is very nice.
Oh yeah.
Because we get the like breakdown part of time, effectively the tempo change kind of bit, and they go on up to the gate, and there's "Enter at your own risk" is printed on like a massive sign in chiller font. It's great, and they go on in as we get into Great Gig, and the movie is we get the song. There's a light over at the Frankenstein place, which is a long title for a song.
That's like the entire chorus.
Yeah. It's a good one. It's a good wee song. I like this one as well.
Have I told the story on pod about... So there was a TV show for kids. I'm going to use all the details because I don't think I'm in any trouble for it.
Okay.
There was a kids TV show called Bumble. Kind of came out just as we were kind of ending our childhoods. And it was produced, I'm pretty sure it was produced in Christchurch, where we were both from.
That makes sense.
And I ended up growing up and working for the company that initially produced it. And they had a plan to re-release it, but part of that involved figuring out the lengths of all the songs.
Oh.
So one day, somehow I ended up a job watching a dubbed VHS of Bumble episodes.
Wow.
This kids' TV show about a singing bee. In every song, I had to hit what time it started and what time it finished. And then I was allowed to name the songs. So I would do this. I would just take every lyric and make it into the song, into the title. Or I'll just add just add brackets in for no real reason. Just make them really long. Just fully yes, one day when they release the Bumble album, I'm going to have people are going to have to wait so long for the title to scroll past to see who's singing, if it's Bumble or Fishy.
Oh my God.
After that, I think probably due to my titles, nothing ever came of that project.
Oh,
so
no.
It was a whole day wasted. But,
wow.
And I probably could have been more efficient with my time and just written Bumble birthday song instead of it's a happy birthday to you and me from Bumble by Bumble.
That's the best. You did a fantastic job. Listen, you understood the assignment, Gareth. You were given a task and you fucking fulfilled it to the best of your ability, and you should feel proud. You did Bumble proud, Gareth, is what I'm trying to say. Zzzz. Well done, Gareth.
Oh, what a man. What a bee.
What a big bee. He was so big.
He was massive, bigger than the mice he was friends with.
Oh my God. They were so small compared to him. Man.
Yeah.
I did love Fishy from Bumble as well.
Fishy was great. Wisecracking, not wisecracking, just wise.
Oh,
fish puppet.
The wisdom of that fish.
Yeah.
Anyway, we need to get back to Pink Floyd and this wonderful film, Gareth. As much as I want to talk about Bumble for the rest of the night.
People would be so mad.
I know. Yes, so over at the Frankenstein place, there's a light. And Great Gig in the Sky. A pretty good match, honestly, I thought.
Yeah.
Both sort of downbeat kind of moments in the soundtrack and the album, and that fairly relaxed and soothing is what I would say are the similarity. Yeah, nice. that these play at the same time. We also see that the motorcyclists are all heading here too. There's like a flash of lightning and we see all their motorcycles parked up at the castle. The song ends also right the over at the Frankenstein place ends right on the tempo change in Great Gig in the Sky as well. Like not tempo change, the more crooning bit after the like louder like vocal range. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we get a brief cutaway to the criminologist again, who's like, "Have they found their salvation here?" And probably not, but we'll find out.
If a criminologist is reporting something, it's not going to be. And then they did find their salvation, and they got home.
Yeah, and it was all fine. He's adding the drama, so I'm here for it. So Brad and Janet arrive, and they meet Riff Raff at the door. And just what a guy! Who plays Riff Raff? He's one of the co-writers of the film and also the stage show.
Richard O'Brien.
Yes, he is a famous New Zealander. Richard O'Brien, I believe.
Although he didn't get New Zealand citizenship for ages.
Really?
We still built a statue of him.
Yeah, I believe he still lives in Hamilton, and there's a statue of him in Hamilton. I thought about this after watching the movie, but how wild would it be to live in the same city as a statue of you? Fuck, that would be wild.
It's quite a lot actually. There's the statue of him in full space Riff Raff.
Yeah.
And then there's an interactive sort of like sonic transducer next to it as well, and it's like a little park all set up about Rocky Horror.
That's rad.
Yeah, it's really cool. I've been there like 3 times. I really like it.
I've been to Hamilton exactly once, and we made a special stop at that statue. Which proves how much this movie means to my family.
Actually, shout out to Hamilton. I had one great afternoon there where it just felt like cool things just kept happening, like a free coffee at a record store and then a bunch of free stickers at the same record store.
That's sick.
Yeah. And then I tried to stop there quite recently over the summer, and that record store had just closed the second we got there.
Oh, no.
And, like, weirdly, we put in, like, vegan food on our map and walked for ages to the, like, worst place that was also just closing.
No.
And ended up just eating at the mall. So we didn't stop at Hamilton on the way back, but... So this might be the longest time I've been since I moved to the North Island, since I haven't seen the Richard O'Brien statue. Wow.
There you go. Yeah. Man, well, I hope you have better times in Hamilton next time you visit. And so do I. What? Shout out to you, Hamilton. If you're from Hamilton and you're listening, shout outs to you. We love you.
Yeah. Hamilton being the town in New Zealand, another incredibly specific New Zealand
and not
reference.
the musical.
Yeah. Because I know the context of us covering a musical on this show, you would think we're talking about the other famous musical that people who don't like musicals like. But no, not yet. Anyway, Anyway, okay. Let's get back to it. Yes. So, they ask to use the phone, and Riff Raff doesn't mention anything about a phone, but he says, "You better come inside." And yeah, because he's like, "You're wet." He's got such a interesting delivery. I really like the way he talks as well. Me too. It's like one of the only impressions I can do, which is why we started the show with it.
Yeah, man, you crushed it. It was sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah. Brad says, Janet's very worried, and Brad says that he thinks that this is some kind of hunting lodge for rich weirdos, which, not far off, honestly, considering. But yes.
I think odds are any place is probably for rich weirdos.
Oh, yeah. The weirder the place, the more likely that is, I think. So, yeah, great gig ends, and we go into good old money, and signaling the start of the time warp track everyone knows and loves. There's a clock going off, which frustrates me endlessly. I wish we were listening to Time by Pink Floyd, Gareth, but we are not.
Yeah.
We are deep. We are heading into Money, which is the flip. It's the other side. We're on side B now of the album, and it's just, I'm flipped as well. Yes.
I will say, my note for this is Money equals the Time Warp, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Because they're both sort of like, I guess the huge 70s phenomenons, very strange things, and these are their big hits. Like, Money was Pink Floyd's big hit from Dark Side of the Moon. The Time Warp was the big hit from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Like, they're both the ones you could probably play at a wedding.
Yes.
And kind of weird choice to play Money by Pink Floyd at a wedding, but like,
I could see
people will dance.
Yeah.
They'll dance to that more than they'll dance to Any Colour You Like by Pink Floyd at a wedding.
I don't know. I'd be
unless
grooving.
It was one of our weddings.
Yeah. Oh my god, I'm going to put Any Colour You Like on the wedding playlist and see if it gets removed.
Actually, it would be pretty cool.
Everyone would be like, "What the fuck is this?" Little like 2-minute instrumental track. Amazing.
It's the part where the groom dances alone.
Oh yes. My theory as to why is that I feel like Time Warp is because it's the big hit, is the least fitting song in the movie. It feels the most out of place amongst the other tracks, amongst the whole movie, the soundtrack. And I feel Money is the same way on Dark Side of the Moon, and that like if you pluck these ones out, it would be a more cohesive thing. But we're glad that they're there in the end. That's my comparative notes on the two tracks anyway.
That's 100% correct, because like Money's always the one that throws us off. Like,
yes.
It throws the vibe in a complete different direction for like 7 minutes, and then it goes back to a similar vibe that it, like, you could cut Money and go straight from Great Gig to Us and Them, and you'd have a more like flow, which would also, like the way movies are structured, flow. So yeah, the fact that this movie also takes a break to kind of just introduce a hot dance craze while it introduces the characters. Yeah. Yeah, we've got to respect it for doing that.
Absolutely. And maybe that's what Money is doing on the album as well. Maybe it's there for a reason and we're finally appreciating it. I don't know.
It's introducing some characters, like saxophones to the album, because they're not in it until then. Yeah.
Oh, and who doesn't love a saxophone, baby? Oh my gosh.
We get to see some good saxophones in this movie soon.
Yes. So context for the Time Warp, what actually is going on. It's the annual Transylvanian Convention here being hosted at Frank's Castle. With everyone here dressed in full tuxedo suits and party hats and indoor sunglasses. It's like they're all here to see the Blues Brothers, is how it feels. It's a good vibe. Everyone's having a good dance. Even the criminologist gets involved. Because, it's just a full-on dance craze that they just made manifest through song, which is fucking powerful. Like, everyone I know knows the Time Warp. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I hope it's like as much of a cultural phenomenon overseas. But definitely in New Zealand, like every school disco that I went to played the Time Warp. So like
that's so true.
Reared from a young age to know this track. Deep in our souls, us Kiwi kids. So there you go.
We would do the Time Warp and then go do the Weet-Bix Kiwi Kids Triathlon.
Exactly, man. Like that's primary school. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Oh, 5 more minutes until Bumble starts. We better do the Time Warp.
Better do the Time Warp. I know all the moves because they're the lyrics to the song, baby. So good.
There's not enough of that. Like, we've been fortunate in our lifetimes that we've kind of recently had that resurgence in the last 10 years of songs of big dance crazes.
Yeah.
And of course TikTok has helped that. But there hasn't been I can't think of a big hit where the lyrics have been like, and you take your hand and you raise it up and you bring it back down and you look at it. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
For ages.
The hokey pokey principle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like I'm thinking back as well. Like the one that frustrated me most, I believe, was the chicken dance. because everyone knew the chicken dance, and that has no instructions. It's just a pure instrumental track. It's the Any Color You Like of dance crazes, and yeah, like. Everyone would do it, especially at like ice skating, from what I remember, which made it even harder because there's like a jump that you have to do. You've got to like rotate 90 degrees, and people would go in different directions because how do you know which way to go? You know, do you go? Does everyone go clockwise? Do you go counterclockwise? What are we doing here, lads? Yeah, I've got beef with the chicken dance, but I've no beef at all with the time warp. Love the time warp.
I will say quickly, shout out to the Hoedown Throwdown by Miley Cyrus. I think in character as Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
That was probably the last big hit that explained everything he had to do.
Nice.
But my God, is that song difficult, and my goodness, do the instructions just keep coming. There's no way I'm learning that.
Put your left hand in, put it in again, and now
pretty much.
Pirouette 3 times. Oh man, I love it. Yes. So throughout this track, Janet repeatedly faints at the sight of these dance moves, which I just find hilarious. Also, Columbia's first appearance in the movie, she is like wheeled in on a jukebox and has a very like 50s like Elvis kind of verse here, and like a crazy voice. She's from the original stage performance. Nell Campbell plays her. And fun fact, Gareth, this is the fun fact I was preluding earlier. I mentioned earlier.
Ooh.
She plays a groupie in this movie, and also plays a groupie in the film adaptation of The Wall by Pink Floyd. So there you go.
Whoa.
Yeah, double groupie. Groupie for this film, groupie for the Floyds.
Man,
so there you
groups.
go. Yeah. Big fan of her.
Wow.
She's got a pretty wild voice, but I like her a lot. I like her presence in the movie. Yeah, also
she's definitely like, when you're singing along to this is when you're like, oh yeah, this is when the experts take over. Especially the tap dancing as well. You're like, okay, yeah, it's all on you now.
Yeah. Yeah, not a lot of singing along at the school disco to this part. Everyone's just sort of awkward, sheepishly waiting for the instructions once more. Yeah, pretty good. But yeah, I just think she's like, her entrance into this movie is just so baller. Just coming in on a jukebox in like a gold sequin tuxedo. Fucking awesome. The criminologist dances on his desk. And the wildest thing about this song is that it ends with everyone falling to the ground and like just everyone, like the track itself letting out an open, endless chord. I think like sonically it just like sucks the air out of the room at the end of the song. Yeah. Intentionally so. But it's just great that like, I don't know if we did this in the school disco, everyone falling to the floor.
Oh, no, not safe. You get stuck to that school disco floor because you're spilled their like fizzy raspberry.
They're Fanta out there on the floor. You don't want Fanta pants. That's not what you need. They turn to leave after this display, our heroes. But who should come down in the lift dramatically but Dr. Frankenfurter himself. Amazing. As we get Sweet Transvestite and your parents rush in the room and turn off the VHS. Sweet Transvestite from Transsexual Transylvania. Banger track as well. Oh, yeah. Tim Curry, like, incomparable. Like, this is just him at his absolute peak. Just so powerful in this movie. It's such an impressive performance. Just so like, I don't even know how to describe it, honestly. Just like awesome. I was in awe watching it. Like, every time. It's
so different to the Tim Curry like you'd see in Clue or like kind of those other movies where he's kind of more the buttoned up kind of version
Muppets
of himself.
Treasure Island.
Yeah, even that like is really different. Even Nigel Thornberry, you wouldn't say is the same person.
Right? Oh
then
my
you've
God.
got this, yeah. This is like the dark side of the moon to him if he was the moon.
For real,
like,
yeah.
Whole other part of his range and career finest role.
Yeah. Greatest role ever for old Tim. Like, second only possibly to that one time he says space in Command and Conquer. Oh, the best. Have you seen that clip? Oh, it's amazing.
I have not.
Oh, in this video game, he's like I don't know, some kind of Russian general, and he's like, I will flee to the one place they can't find me. Space! It's the best. He goes up to the Russian moon base. Love him.
Ooh.
Space! Anyway, yes. So, yeah, here he is descending for this track, and lets us know he's been making a man with blonde hair and a tan. It's such a great performance. He like strips off his like weird vampire cape here and is just in full like negligee and high heels and fishnets. And yeah, Pink Floyd agree because they sing Ain't No Ordinary Men, and this guy is far from ordinary. Right on the money, Floyd's. But we're an us and them, so I don't know.
We did get, like, as he arrived, the big descending scale for Money, just as Money was wrapping up.
Yeah, coming down
like
the old elevator.
A big, like, crash zoom on him, so I love that.
That's nice.
That was on the money.
That is on the money. Oh. And yeah, so at the end of this track, Frank, like, invites them up to the lab to see what he's been working on. He delivers, like, a very confusing line saying, like, I'll remove the cause but not the symptom. Which I think is in reference to like them being stuck there, but not the rain. I don't know. I think it's confusing. People will understand it better than me, and I apologize for not getting it. It's too smart of a lyric for young JB.
And for young GB too.
Oh, well. Anyway, they get ready to go up to the lab and strip down to their underclothes, Brad and Janet.
Yeah.
And they just, like, sort of are going along with it, terrified.
This was the first sign when I was, like, 13, finally getting to watch the whole thing. I was like, oh,
yeah. Susan Sarandon in her underwear. Okay. I see, parents. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, like she's like that for like the whole film from now on. So that's pretty funny. And yeah, so they go on up in the elevator up to the lab and Frank is here, has had a full costume change into like dark green scrubs, I guess is how I would describe it. Is still wearing the same thing underneath because we see the like fishnet gloves that he was wearing before, and is holding hilariously a pair of like pink washing up gloves, which is just it's so good. Yeah, still the same stuff underneath because he's got like high heels and the pearl necklace from earlier that he was wearing. So you know, all the same stuff, but is more professional here in the lab.
Yeah. Business casual.
Yes. The room itself is so strange. This lab setup is so bizarre. It's like pink tiled room with enormous marble columns and statues, like Grecian Adonis statues. And all of the partygoers as well are on like a suspended like pathway, like a pathway up around the edge, like a round circular. This is like a circular room with a strange like like altar in the background and curtains to the left, and all of the party goers like looking down from above to the right. It's so weird. It's such a bizarre scene to walk in on. But it's so good because it's like it feels very stage show, right? Like everything is set here already for everything that needs to happen in the scene, which is great. Like having all the props here already so that no one needs to move anything feels very theatery. Very good.
Yeah, and they stay in this room for like 3 songs at least.
Yeah.
And numerous plot beats. So yeah, you're actually right. This is probably like just after maybe the first intermission, or after maybe the set going dark and everyone running in and bringing out this whole new set.
There's been a brief like cutaway to the criminologist while everyone's frantically putting all these things in behind them or something, you know.
Shout out to those people in a play. Those are the
man.
If you don't like plays, those are the people you are so impressed by, because you're like, whoa, you see that? They moved all those chairs.
If you're in a really shit play, you're just watching everyone put in the hard yards to get this like nightmare going.
Yeah.
You're just like, man, those people are working really hard for this like terrible play. Oh, amazing. Shout outs to those people. Honestly, not enough love.
Are they the swing crew? I think they're called, but the heroes, they're the only people that make plays.
Exactly. Yeah.
Otherwise you just mime everything.
Yeah. Not all plays can be mimes only. Only our solo plays that we're coming out with are mime only.
Yeah, our competitive mime performances.
Yeah. Mime versus mime. That's it.
Following a podcast with a completely non-audio media of mime.
Mime, yeah. It's too bad our mime show never took off.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes. So I'd like that. Frank comes over and like assesses them, like gives them like a look and hands them. The heroes, that is, hands them some like robes to put on to cover themselves up, and also like directly addresses the camera, like breaks the fourth wall completely, and just says like, "Wow, how nice!" Like looks to us, the audience, which is very nice. I like that Frank is just on the level with us.
Yeah.
We go from here with Brad losing his temper and demanding to use the telephone. Frank is very excited by this, says he's got a perfect man here with his forceful nature. The perfect specimen of manhood is what he says. Yeah. And,
Pink Floyd say manners at the same time he says manhood, which
is
almost the same.
Close, similar. They went different directions.
Yeah.
Frank also asked them if they have any tattoos, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Don't know why this is here really, other than like him like sussing them out, I guess, for later. But pretty funny. I believe Frank has a tattoo. I think he's got like a mum tattoo. That we saw earlier.
Big ol' heart.
Yeah, the classic.
Yeah, because I've drawn Nigel Thornberry as Frank.
Whoa.
For, like, just my own amusement.
Pretty good.
Yeah, man. I also drew Nigel Thornberry as It from It. Just all the best Tim Curry roles.
Good choices. I like both of those. Nice. I'm excited to see those depictions. Yes. So Frank gets serious, and so do I, because we've got to continue the show. And he's talking about a breakthrough in biochemical research. He claims to have discovered the secret of life itself. By mistake, what's more. It was an accident. And he puts the pink gloves over top of his gloves, and yes, he goes over to give birth to his creation out here. Gets going. Everyone, he's like talking, like giving this like effectively a scientific address, as if he's like won a Nobel Prize, or like he is Dr. Frankenstein, basically presenting this to the board or whatever. And the audience is celebrating, and he has like full control over the audience, where they are like twirling these little like rattles and blowing into little party blowers and things like that in celebration. And he just wave a hand and they all suddenly stop. It's very good. And yes, uncovered now from this altar is a tank, and within it is a mummified creature, Rocky, who's like wrapped up in bandages, suspended in like a tank of water, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, we go into Any Color You Like, and it's very dramatic because we're getting the activation of this huge machine. Riff Raff has to crank this this wheel really hard, and it gets faster and faster as this it looks like the classic Frankenstein's monster giant channeling the lightning machine. Yeah. But once it's lowered, Frank activates it by pouring different spigots of water of different colored liquids into the tank, and it forms a rainbow on the inside of the tank, which is a great touch. We haven't really mentioned it, but this movie is huge for the LGBT community, and really was super important for acceptance of that at a time that it was getting better, but it still had a long way to go. And
oh heck yeah,
it's got this huge legacy, not only for being a massive cult hit, but also for inspiring so many people in that way, right?
Yeah,
supporting that that way of life in film and celebrating it as well. Pretty cool.
Yeah, especially these shadow casts and special screenings. There's a great story of a trans person using the money raised from doing shadow cast performances and screenings of this movie to finally get gender conformance surgery.
That's awesome.
Yeah, especially again in a time where that wasn't very readily safely available.
Yeah, man, that's huge. God, what a cool movie in so many ways. God damn. Anyway, so as he's doing this pouring of the liquids, I just love that. It's such a bizarre way to awaken a creature, but it's it's just such a good misdirect. We see lightning flashing, and the skeleton of the creature is illuminated inside the tank, through rotoscope, presumably. Great stuff. Pretty cheap effect like that, and with a thunderclap, it comes to life. Very Frankenstein monster, and clambers out of the tank, and to the applause of the crowd and me. And
it all works so well with Any Color You Like by Pink Floyd, the flashing lights, the colors, any color really that you like. It's beautiful.
All the colors.
And then he hits the ground for brain damage to begin.
Yes, and we go into brain damage, as you say, and the song, Rocky's song, his intro song, the Sword of Damocles, which is a reference I was definitely too young to understand at the time, but now I get. And it's a fun song. Rocky's not my favorite in this movie. I don't know why. He's just there are so many strong performances throughout. And he's supposed to be this this huge hunk, right? I don't know. He's sort of channeling an Elvis kind of thing as well. Just in terms of vocal range, we're going to have a much more Elvis-y performance in a little bit, but just he's got this sort of that same kind of feeling. Maybe that's intentional because of the whole Meatloaf thing that we're about to have. I don't know. Anyway. We'll get there.
Fun fact, though, the actor who plays him, not his singing voice, but the actual Rocky, is mostly an antique stealer.
Really?
Yeah, he's done three films. But yeah, other than that, he just
hey, man.
Deals antiques.
Nice. Shout out to antiques. Love it. That's awesome. Yeah, man. I mean, fair enough. I would love... Is he still ripped? I love the idea...
Wikipedia didn't tell me that much, but I hope so.
He's still ripped. It just says in personal life, last entry, still ripped. And then, citation needed. So good.
I hope he still dresses in just, small, shiny gold shorts, even though he's,
please.
In his
antique shorts.
Yeah. Antique shorts. I mean, there would be.
Yeah. But yeah, so he's desperately trying to escape the doc, who is all over him, obviously, and chasing him around the room. He's like hanging from the big light fixture thing that awakened him, like dangling down. Very like there's a lot of like King Kong imagery with Rocky as well. Much more obvious later, but like this is similar too. It's good. It's good little track, fun little performance. I like that everyone starts doing the same little dance to this. It's got its own like dance number, like can style, which is fun. Yes. It's so everyone's celebrating the success. Riff Raff and Magenta say how great it is, and Columbia's like, he's okay. Which is so good. And Frank is like fully disappointed in this and goes over to ask what Brad and Janet think. And Janet says she doesn't like a man with too many muscles. And Frank is furious with this, saying that he didn't make Rocky for her. Basically we go from here into I Can Make You a Man, vowing where Frank is vowing to make Rocky into the perfect man in a week, effectively. Has given him all these like gifts of like a weight set and like I don't know what this thing is, which really proves how fucking like unfit I am. Some kind of like acrobatics horse thing. Fuck, what is this thing?
That's what it is. I think that's what it is called, like a gymnastics horse.
Yeah, right?
I do not know either.
Oh, fuck.
So it says more that much about me.
I've ruined...
But a little weirder that I also then tried to answer for you. It's like, no, bro, it's a, I thought I'd have it. No, I don't know.
Yeah, sorry to shatter the listeners' head canon for me, but I'm not the muscle-bound person I claim to be in the intro. I, in fact, had never set foot inside a gym. So, there you go. Who knew that a Pink Floyd podcast host would not be an Adonis?
Just yoked.
Just yoked like an ox.
I would love to walk past someone like at the gym and you can just hear that they're blasting this song on the headphones.
Oh, that would be great. I Can Make You a Man. That's really inspiring. That's great.
A weakling. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. These are all gifts that have been wrapped up in like wrapping paper and bows and things like cellophane. Really good. We're having brain damage going into Eclipse here for the the finish of the first playthrough. When suddenly the deep freeze in this room suddenly opens like an enormous red door that we didn't see until now. It opens right at the end of Eclipse, comes crashing down like over the final beats effectively of that track. We go into the heartbeats as Eddie has arrived. Meatloaf playing Eddie.
Yeah.
Probably my first exposure to Meatloaf as a person, but it sounds like not for you. Your parents.
No, we had Bat Out of Hell was second only to Dark Side of the Moon in terms of albums played like on car trips and everything.
Fair. Yeah. Pretty good. Pretty great album. Rest in peace, Meatloaf, by the way. Recently deceased.
His I think Bat Out of Hell is only like third to Dark Side of the Moon and like one Oasis album to be like longest time spent in the top 10 in England.
Wow. That's what a claim to fame. Holy moly.
Yeah, right?
That's huge.
Rest in peace. Great songs, great long songs, like pioneered an entire sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking destroyed his own voice doing it as well. Yeah. Like doing it live all the time.
A bit, yeah.
Insane. But yeah, what a range he had. Anyway, we are getting over the heartbeats. Hot Patootie is his song, apparently. Never knew that. Hot Patootie, bless your soul. But you love that rock and roll. A pretty fun song, very Elvis Presley inspired. And he's this like sort of rocker guy with leather jacket on a motorcycle, big scar across his forehead because Frank used half of his brain in making Rocky, which is a fun detail. And yeah, it's just very weird having like a full-on sax solo play over Speak to Me. Like, that's not right.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. Yeah. It doesn't stop Columbia, though, who clearly prefers Eddie to Rocky and is stoked to have him back. Very excited. And Frank is furious about this whole thing. Shuts old Rocky in the elevator to like keep him out of the way, and then fucking brutally murders Eddie with an ice pick. Off screen, thankfully, but horrible screaming over this. Like, it goes full horror movie just for this one moment, and it's like Frank like emerges out of the ice box covered in blood, and he's just like, oh, one from the vaults. And it's like, whoa. Pretty brutal. Kind of a good, like, this and the sex thing is probably why your parents were like, nope, this is where we stop the movie. They see this room and they're like, we know what's about to happen.
They just play it in reverse, so it's like, and then Brad and Janet go back down in the elevator, and then they do the time warp again, and then they leave. Look, they're driving away.
Yeah, the time warp was fully successful in reversing the flow of time.
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah. And then they lived happily ever after. Who knew?
Yay!
Yeah. Frank also describes killing Eddie as a mercy killing. I think because he was like a failed experiment, and like regrets him, which is just such a brutal thing to say about someone.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. And yeah, he also just goes back into the song that he was singing, goes straight back into I Can Make You a Man, which is just so funny as a beat, like returning to the same song for a final verse. Hilarious. And like a coda. Oh, loved it. And yeah, they head off to the wedding suite, which is revealed to be what was behind the curtain. There's like a velvet covered bed here. They've got monogrammed pillowcases. So good. And yeah, they go to have all the good sex, I guess. Nice.
Yeah, for a 70s movie, just very much like, and yeah, that's what they're about to do.
Yeah, good on.
Good
yeah,
on
we
them.
cut from here back to the criminologist, saying that these events so far had made the heroes quite uneasy. And it's like, yeah, no joke, dude. And we see Brad and Janet being shown to individual rooms. I love that this is just the same room that they're led into, like literally the same exact set. So funny as an idea. Like, just, again, another like stage show move. Just reusing the exact same set for two separate scenes. Love it.
Yeah.
And yeah, we see that Magenta and Riff Raff are just like spying on them from little view screens. There's like weird sort of like security cam situation all over this castle.
Yeah, very 50s kind of design to them.
Yeah. The like little black and white CRTs. Good times. Yes. We get now Frank appearing in Janet's room, pretending to be Brad and seducing her.
Yeah.
From behind the bed curtains here. There's like, they're all in like four poster beds with the like princess curtains around them, you know, that whole setup. And these scenes played from the outside, like looking in sort of shadow play style. Very good. Over the on the run crash happens here. Again, not really syncing with much. But eventually, yeah, Frank is like successful at seducing her, and yeah, they sleeps with her as well. But he's not yet done. Yeah, big night for Frank.
Yeah.
So promises not to tell Brad about them being together. This is also apparently Janet's first time. She's been like saving herself. Insane. Man. promises not to tell Brad, and we get a cutaway to Rocky, who's like happy in the bed, chained to the bed by his ankles. And Riff Raff comes in and bloody scares him with a candelabra, classic Frankenstein fear of fire shout out. And Rocky breaks free from his chains over the clocks of time coming in and escapes. Starts running away from the castle. And yes, this is all part of the plan for Riff Raff and Magenta, who appear. And they do this like... how to describe this?
Yeah.
God, they do their own little hand thing. It's like a high five where you roll your arms up against the other person's arms, so that your hands are no longer separating, and then roll them back. That's their special handshake that they do. The Transylvanian handshake.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It is cool. It's a good
If
move.
I saw two teens do this, I'd be like, cool teens.
I would say these teens are up to something.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not going to the castle with these teens.
yeah, I would say that move is practiced, and now I'm afraid. But yeah. And then from here, like that, after that, we have like a brief. We have cutting back to the exact same four-poster bed for Brad being seduced in an identical scene, which is just, it's so clever. It's so funny that they like, it's like almost the exact same dialogue. They have different complaints about the situation, about what the other one's going to say and think. But Frank, I'm pretty sure all of Frank's dialogue is the same in both instances, which is so funny, and it works both times. He seduces both of them. Legend. Amazing. And yeah, it's just such a funny thing to happen in the movie. But yes, their moment together is interrupted by Riff Raff reporting over intercom that Rocky has broken free and escaped, and that he's set the dogs loose to chase after Rocky, and we see that outside. He's been chased by these dogs. Poor Rocky. Yeah,
this like poor, shiny, ripped future antiques dealer in his underwear being chased by dogs, and like...
Yeah, man.
So, he's good at... Like, this actor and antique dealer is so good at how naive Rocky needs to be.
Yeah.
Like, the exact right amount, but to be just, like, that spooked.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel for him.
Yeah, they're, like, born 4 hours ago.
Yeah.
And now I'm being chased by dogs. You can read it in his face.
Not any actor can do that.
No, that's
only
a
an
hard
actor
one.
who truly understands antiques.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I bet he does. He's selling you like a wardrobe, and he just comes up to you and is like, "Oh yeah, this reminds me of the time I was chased by 5 bulldogs while wearing golden underwear." And you're like, "What?" He's like, "Oh yeah, nothing. It's $500. It's mid-century. Yeah."
Yeah, and your desire to hear more, you just get confused and you pay for the vase, and you're like, oh, whoops, no, that's not the story.
How did I walk out of here with so many antiques? Oh, so good. Yeah, so Janet is distressed about the whole sleeping with Frank situation, and goes off to try and find Brad, and gets lost, goes up to the lab, and finds Rocky here, cowering in his tank, like hiding, like the tank that he was born in, hiding from the dogs and from Riff Raff who have been tormenting him. And we go into the time solo here at this point, and Janet sees on the little view screen that Brad and Frank are together, and I love that Brad is just smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
Because the classic sign of having slept with someone. Probably has never smoked in his life and is just doing it for this one scene. So funny. And she begins to cry, and then overhears Rocky also in his tank, and they have a moment together where she like tears off the front of her like undergarments, her like long negligee thing that she's wearing. I don't know what you call this. I don't know. that tears off the front of that to like wrap up a dog bite on Rocky's bod. And then, there's a cutaway to the criminologist again talking. He starts talking about the power of emotion taking hold of one's actions, like getting swept away. It's just such a clinical description for what's about to happen. Because we see also that Magenta and Columbia are together watching this on the monitor because they're going to take part in this song. Toucha, 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 touch me is the name of the track. And it's about Janet giving in to her lust and like being with Rocky as well to make herself feel better, and getting the terrible situation out of her head that she's in, you know.
She does this amazing look, and there's a zoom on her when she like realizes she's kind of into Rocky, where she like looks to the side and then looks back at him so slowly.
Really good acting.
Yeah, the best part that I remember from seeing a screening where people yelled at the screen was someone just yelling out, "Janet, if you want to have sex, look slightly to the left, slightly to the right," and like completely described everything she was about to do.
That's
like,
incredible.
And then she did it. I was like, this person rehearsed.
Oh, shout out to that person. That's amazing. Love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so jealous that you got to go to one of these screenings. I've got to do it.
Oh, no.
Maybe I'll fly up to Auckland and do it. That'll be amazing.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. For this song, we are having Great Gig, and it takes on a pretty different vibe. Like, Great Gig has like a solely female vocal performance, and it's just strange seeing this over like someone having sex, and just like all the other characters appearing as if they're having sex with Janet, like above her, like leaning in on her over this vocal solo. It's very strange. It feels very dreamlike in a very weird way.
That Creature of the Night part where they all kind of become Rocky and sing Creature of the Night works so well, that montage of all their faces and passion over Great Gig in the Sky, though. Like, love it.
Very, very good. Very good stuff. Vaguely terrifying, but very good.
Terrifying us all days.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, amazing. I also really love that Columbia and Magenta are like girls watching this movie at a sleepover, effectively.
Yeah.
They're just like singing along with like their own little parts. They even make fun of the song in the song. Like, they do their own version of Janet's lyrics in their like funny voices. It's really good. Like making
and they like
fun of
ask
her.
questions about the lyrics as well. It's kind of raises the question of whether the musical, like whether these people, you know how like with a musical you assume they're not aware that they're singing. It's just what they're doing to express themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas like in this movie, I guess they are aware that people are singing.
Yeah.
They can then comment on the songs. Like they comment on the Time Warp as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mentioned this in the Mamma Mia episode that like it's terrifying to me if a musical realizes that it's a musical and that people
100%.
and that like people are just singing in this world. Not so in Rocky Horror, honestly. I feel like it fits really well. I feel like if anything knows it's a musical, it's Rocky Horror, and I'm fully on board with that. You know, it just makes sense that the characters are like, hell yeah, you know. So. I'm happy about it.
Well, it's like heightened on a different level, I guess.
Yeah.
Than most other musicals.
Yeah,
like, it's going in a different direction.
Yeah. I agree. Yes, so moving on from this track, we've got Riff Raff cowering from Frank. As Frank has come up to the lab with oh god, what's his name? Shit. How did I forget his name? Brad. Brad is here as well. Jesus. I
was like, is there another character I've missed? Oh no, Brad.
No, they're here together. And he's just like whipping Riff Raff, who's like cowering and saying like, he's like, how could you let him go? Let Rocky escape and get away. And they're like, oh shit. And then they see there's another problem because on the security camera of the outside of the castle, Dr. Everett Scott has shown up, who's a wheelchair-bound man, very old dude with a mustache and glasses, and he's here at the castle, and we don't know why. And Frank is terrified. He's super worried about this and like is furious at Brad, assumes that like Brad is in on something here and like fucking attacks him because Dr. Everett Scott is a ufologist working for the US government, tracking UFOs as part of his scientific research. And why would Frank be so concerned with that, Gareth? That's so weird. And yeah, Brad's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And the doctor lets himself in, and Frank, there's like such a bizarre joke here where he's like, he must have gone into the Zen room. And and we go here, we just see Dr. Scott in a room like full of candles. I think there's like a sitar twang that plays in the movie as well. It's such a weird joke. It's so bizarre. I love it though.
This was the first watch where I noticed the Zen room, so maybe say that about Pink Floyd, that they helped with that, but it's so funny.
Yeah, mate. The Pink Floyd is fully at home in the Zen room.
Yeah.
There's like at least 12 copies of Dark Side of the Moon in that room.
Pink Floyd are technically in this movie, you just don't see them. They're off camera in the Zen room.
They're always in the bloody Zen room. They're the ones manning the cameras. I love that.
Their tour bus had also broken down, so they've gone in and just waited in the Zen room and missed the whole thing. Yeah, and once you're stuck in the Zen room, it's hard to leave. But unless you got this kind of crazy machine that does everything, because Riff Raff hits some kind of lever on here and it summons the doctor in his wheelchair. It just like moves him up the stairs, like sort of Benny Hill style. Yeah, very much.
He like travels around all the like Magenta and Columbia who are just chilling, like goes around their bed, up the stairs magically, and then bursts through the wall, Kool-Aid Man style, coming on in. And Brad just comes in the clutch by shouting out, "Great Scott!" Yeah. Love that. It's very good. Yes. So Frank starts like interrogating the doctor as to why he's here. And like he's like, "You're the ufologist, blah, blah, blah. Like, what are you doing here?" And like he's like, "Oh, no. Like, I'm just here looking for my nephew, Eddie." And everyone's like, no. And everyone's like, "Eddie," like they have a big reaction, and this is where Janet and Rocky pop up from the tank. They've been in the room the whole time, in pure shock. And another hilarious bit where they just repeat looking at each other, being like, "Janet, Dr. Scott, Brad, Rocky." Like each of the characters just yelling at each other. I think the whole thing repeats 3 times.
Just long enough. It's so good.
Perfect.
Yeah. All it's missing is Donkey from Shrek at the very end.
Right.
Donkey.
Yeah. Yeah, that's got to be a direct reference, right? That joke is just, it's from Rocky Horror.
Someone on, like, probably 100 people on YouTube have made that.
Yeah.
Right? Where the donkey just joins in saying his own name.
Yeah, for sure.
Good.
Would throw off our syncs if it were included, so I'm glad that it's not. Yes. And it's at this point, everyone's like sort of uneasy about everything that's happened tonight. And it's at this point that Magenta announces dinner is ready by hitting an enormous gong. So good. And yes, it's a formal dress optional dinner. And we get a cutaway to the criminologist talking about food bringing people together, even in dire circumstances, which is just such a strange thing to be talking about. And yeah, we see the crew very awkwardly gathered around a dinner table, and they're like Riff Raff and Magenta are full servant mode once again, and they bring out this roast beast of some kind, and Frank is given an electric carving knife, which is so funny, just as a like visual and audio gag. This like tiny, useless. Do you remember these things? These things.
Yeah. Another big thing from the 70s.
Yeah, just like this like thing that's like such a piece of shit. but always was like marketed as this like revolutionary must-have item, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, the electric carving knife. Unreal. And he's just cutting into this thing, serving it all up to everybody. Everyone is just wearing what they were wearing in the previous scene. So, like, Brad and Janet are just in their underwear. Like, Frank, I think, is still covered in blood. Or, like, just hilarious. I think, the doctor's covered in, like, bits of wall still from busting through it. It's great. They serve it up to, they have a toast to absent friends and to Rocky, it's his birthday. And so Frank sings happy birthday and like cuts himself off because it's so awkward, like doesn't even finish the song. But of course, you know, copyright, very cleverly done.
Those sisters, they would have been getting the money they legally didn't actually need.
Exactly.
Or didn't actually require.
Didn't have the rights to. Yeah, but like bloody good way of doing it, having them being like, oh fuck, like it's too awkward, can't even do it. So good. And yes, they start talking about Eddie, and because that's who Dr. Scott is here to find, and Columbia like reacts very badly and excuses herself from the table. And yeah, we get into the song Eddie, which is like Dr. Scott talking about who Eddie was before all this and like what his deal was, how he's like a punk and he was misunderstood, and yeah, like nobody loved him, but everybody loved him, and yeah, all this stuff about who Eddie was and how like, yeah, he's hurt Dr. Scott basically by running away. And and we also have a verse from Columbia here who's like fully in love with Eddie. We see that her room is like plastered with massive posters of him, like pin-up style, like beauty shots of this guy. It's tragic.
The effort they would have had to go into that.
Yeah, right. It's like one of her whole walls. It's just this huge mural of him. Amazing. The song ends basically with Dr. Scott reading the note that Eddie left him, which is like very poorly written and presumably post his like brain being cut out. Yeah. It's like written in his own blood. Brutal. And yeah, we go into Us and Them for this note reading portion. But yeah, it's just saying that he's like worried and how Frank's plan can't be put into action, whatever it is. Mysterious. So yes, at the end of this song, Frank pulls the tablecloth off of the table to reveal plates, meal and all, like pulls everything off. To reveal that Eddie's remains are inside the table. Like it's like embedded inside of it is this like tomb with like a disemboweled Eddie inside. Like gross, but like funny sort of like campy style props of like the all the blood and guts and stuff. It doesn't look very realistic, but everyone like freaks out.
Very Garbage Pail Kids kind of gross, grossiness. And the implication is they were eating him, right?
Yes, the implication is that the meal that they were eating was Eddie. There's like a sort of throwaway line that says that Frank says about it, like before the song takes place, when he comes up and he's like, "It's a bit of a tender subject. Does anyone want any more?" Which is smart. But yeah, rough stuff. Janet freaks out and runs into Rocky's arms, much to Frank's anger, and because that's his man. He can't be doing that. So Frank starts chasing Janet around the castle in a sort of Scooby-Doo style chase sequence.
Very much so.
Over the song, it's for the song playing is Wise Up Janet Weiss, which is another banger, by the way. Love this one. It's got probably my favorite lyric of all time, which is sensual as a pencil. So good. Just such a funny line. At the end of the song, Frank, very frustrated, uses this machine that does everything to freeze Brad, Janet, and Dr. Scott in place. So their feet are stuck and Dr. Scott's wheels are stuck. He's like, my wheels! It's very good. Goes over to the machine and he's like, I know what that machine is. It's a matter transporter that can transport through time and space. And it's like, yes, well spotted, Dr. Scott. And then uses the Medusa transducer to turn these guys into marble statues of themselves, which I think like were made for this movie. Like they're like carved in the likeness of they're obviously fake, but like carved in the likeness of the actors, which is pretty cool as a touch, I thought.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Over the song Planet Hot Dog, which is not this one really caught me off guard. Off guard. Like, you're a hot dog, but you better not try to hurt her. Frankfurter. So cheesy. I love it. So they all get turned into these marble statues. Frank is very upset about the whole thing. He's like been hurt by the ones that he loves. He even freezes Rocky, turning him into like he's posing very Charles Atlas style, like purposefully, and like turns him into a statue of the same, which is good. He says like his children have turned on him, and is very upset. And Magenta and Riff Raff come over. Magenta says that she's like, when will we return to Transylvania? And Frank is very non-committal. He says that their loyalty should not go unrewarded, and he appreciates their help. And Magenta says, I ask for nothing, master. And he says, and you shall receive it in abundance. So good. We're ready for the next part because we get like a full like curtain call on the scene because these characters are being set up for the court show, like a live stage performance for the end here. The criminologist talks about them being subject to further indignities. They're like dressed up in these like full cabaret costume outfits with like painted faces and everything for a live show. And it's like a triple threat song that just doesn't end here with Rose Tint My World, I think is the first track, and it's each of the characters singing about the things that make them feel safe from trouble and pain is the thing. So like all the things in their lives that are making them feel okay about like figuring out who they are, I think is the idea.
And then kind of new discoveries for Brad and Janet as well.
A good one. And from here we get the big number as the curtains are pulled, like the back curtains are pulled back, and to reveal a prop RKO radio tower. RKO being one of the big like 5 TV production companies of TV and film production companies of the era. And Frank center stage and performing Don't Dream It, Be It as we go into Brain Damage. And this is really good. This felt so right, having Brain Damage play over this big, like Frank's big moment. Here. It ends with him like jumping into like the fog, like there's like fog covering the stage, and the reveal of an enormous swimming pool with him floating in the middle in a life preserver from the Titanic. Incredible. And the floor of the pool that he is floating above, like right in the center, is of like the Renaissance, not Renaissance, was it Renaissance? I don't know. The painting, The Creation of Adam, by Da Vinci, I believe. Amazing. What a fucking shot. Like probably like one of the most iconic shots in cinema history, I think. This like above shot of Frank floating in the pool. Incredible. For the chorus of Don't Dream It, Be It. Such a powerful song. Amazing.
Yeah.
We're having Brain Damage for this, which is similar in terms of like big hit Brain Damage, you know?
Yeah. Well, I've called Brain Damage the like hippie optimism part of the album, which is, you know, kind of not right because it's very dark, but like it sort of fits this perfectly. Like this is these people have learned to be themselves, like to the point where the Glee episode of the Rocky Horror Picture Show episode of Glee.
Wow.
They like say, oh no, the lesson of Rocky Horror Picture Show is be yourself. And people were like, what? That guy, you know, murdered people.
Yeah.
But like, it is like, people have learned to be themselves. They've just learned it in this like weird sci-fi laser beam orgy.
Yeah.
And it's a very similar sense of like, it's all going to be all right that you kind of get in Brain Damage. Like, you know, there's nothing bad about the lunatic being on the grass making daisy chains until you like, you know, unless you kind of look at how they got there kind of thing.
Exactly. And then we go into Eclipse.
Yeah.
As well.
I think another reason this is all sinking is because there's water involved.
Oh, yeah.
Pink Floyd's
we're
learning it.
Favorite
you
substance.
need water to sync with Pink Floyd.
It's the James water. It was all along. Love that movie Water. The rest of the cast like dive into the pool and are like all like clawing over Frank sensually, like kissing each other, full laser beam orgy, as you say. And the doctor also, Dr. Scott in the background, de-Medusas out here, turns from a statue into a regular person again. And he says, he's like got another like talked verse of the song as he says, we've got to get out of this trap before decadence saps our will, which is very good. And then there's a reveal of him wearing the same high heels and fishnets that everyone else is wearing. And yes, Frank suddenly like jumps out of the pool and performs Wild and Untamed Thing here, which is like a classic rock and roll celebration stage show number, you know, like just one dude fucking wailing on the keys for this song, you know, really good. This is kicking in when we go into Eclipse, and everyone like dances in like a cabaret line along this stage, you know, the classic like kicking your heels up into the air kind of thing. And yes, like right at the end of Eclipse, and we get Riff Raff and Magenta bursting in suddenly, now wearing space regalia. They look so good. They've got these like enormous like shoulder pads sticking out. Riff Raff's got his hair in like a ponytail. Magenta's got this bouffant, like Bride of Frankenstein look.
Yes.
So good. They look amazing as a pair. And again, mirroring the American Gothic, Riff Raff has a laser gun that is triple pronged and looks like the pitchfork from the painting, which is so good, so choice. Love it. And yeah, he's coming out here saying that Frank has lost control and they are taken over, and that it's time for them to return home. And yes, Riff Raff says, "I'm the new commander." And yeah.
I feel for Riff Raff and Magenta. Like,
yeah,
they were just trying to do alien stuff, and then, you know, Frank, their leader, led them down like his own kind of whims and enjoyment.
Yes.
It's a lot like, you know, the Pink Floyd fans who listen to this podcast, you know? They wanted a podcast about Pink Floyd, and instead they've had, you know...
Yeah, they get like a 10-minute aside about Bumble.
They're like, oh, wow, this episode's 2 hours about Digimon?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah.
And at one point, they're going to just come and kick down the door and threaten us with lasers.
Mate, I'm happy to take the Frankenfurter of podcasts. That's a title I'm happy to be bestowed with.
Oh, good.
What an honor.
Yeah. We're just in the pool, but the pool is filled with, like, weird 90s half memories and...
Yeah.
Jokes about beans, and yeah, the Pink Floyd fans are trying to shoot us with their lasers.
Yeah. And that's fine. That's just how life is. you know? That's how it's always going to go.
That's podcasting, baby.
That's podcasting. So he's taking control, and Frank calls out to wait as we go into the start of our final playthrough. Speak to Me, coming back in for the final time.
Yeah.
Because he has this like really touching ballad, "I'm Going Home," where he realizes that it's a very emotional song, and about him returning home, deciding that he's had enough of, he's been hurt by his endeavors here and is happy for it to be over effectively.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a very beautifully shot sequence, because there's like an audience that appears in the theater that they're in, and they are applauding as Frank walks down the aisles as he's giving this performance, and asking for autographs and stuff. And then when he reaches the end and gets to Riff Raff, they all disappear. It's very well done. I really like this one. And yeah, so they're all applauding, and then disappear out of nowhere. And Frank has to face the music effectively now, as Riff Raff reveals, no, you aren't going home. You are to remain here in spirit anyway. And shoots his laser beam from his little pitchfork gun, a beam of pure antimatter, it's described as, which, yikes. And his time has come as On the Run starts. Basically, Columbia screams as Frank gets shot at. He's dodging and trying to get away, and Riff Raff turns and shoots her because she's screaming and she dies.
Yeah.
Brutal. Just caught in the crossfire.
At the very end of Breathe as well, he says, say goodbye to all this and hello to oblivion.
Yeah.
And Pink Floyd sing Race Towards an Early Grave.
Hell yeah. That's a sync.
Perfect. Yeah.
Amazing. Because On the Run is coming in, and he's climbing up the curtain trying to get away in terror, and he gets shot and goes down, and is covered by the curtain, and Rocky very upset cradles his father / lover, and full on King Kong climbs up the fake RKO tower with his master in his arms. Riff Raff's shooting the gun at him, and it's just deflecting off his powerful bod. He's just too ripped. even
too oiled.
Yeah, pure antimatter bouncing off his muscled physique. Love it. And yeah, up on the tower, like batting at planes in anguish. And then, but it's of course just a prop. It's a standee of the tower that buckles and falls, and they fall into the pool, killing Rocky. He also dies. So sad. And yeah, Riff Raff and Magenta come over to the remaining crew here, and Brad's like, asks why he killed them. Bold, Brad. And yeah, assumed that Frank liked them and was friends with them, and he's like, they never liked me. They never liked me. Even though Riff Raff had served him and they were effectively the same level, he was the servant, for the whole time. And so, yeah, Dr. Scott is like, you did the right thing. Fine by me. This whole everything that's happened here, all good. I'm going to defer to the man holding the gun.
Yeah.
And yes, Riff Raff apologizes for what happened to Eddie. Says that wouldn't have happened if he was in control. And yeah, and Dr. Scott's, he says maybe it was for the best. About his own dead nephew. Wild.
Yeah.
Anyway, over that we get the crash sounded on the run, by the way. So good. And yes, they have to get out of there quick because the whole house, Gareth, is being beamed back to the planet of transsexual in the galaxy Transylvania is the reveal.
Yeah.
He was a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. You see? It all makes sense.
There was a comma hidden in the song.
Yeah, the classic hidden comma in the song. Breathe comma in the air.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so over this echo after the crash, we see Frank and Rocky's body just floating in the water, which is just it's such a brutal hit in that part of the album. And yeah, we get a brief reprise of the time warp as the house itself is beamed back into space. It lifts off like the fucking castle from the Black Fortress from Krull. It's got a beautiful rainbow above it here in the morning, and yeah, just after the storm, of course, and yeah, lifts off, it presumably flies back to outer space, and we see a shot from above as the trio of heroes here rolling around in the wreckage of the house, and the camera lens furiously rotates, and this transitions into a spinning globe.
Yeah.
For the final remarks from the criminologist, who gives a poem about the human race and how insignificant humanity is compared to to outer space and everything. He says, crawling on the planet's face, some insects called the human race. And that sounds like Pink Floyd lyrics, I'm not gonna lie.
100%, yeah. I had to check, I googled it, what is this from? It's from something, and no, it's just from the song.
Yeah, it's a good.
Pink Floyd heard it. Well, Pink Floyd said it while they were in the Zen room, but unfortunately,
yeah,
they didn't get to the studio in time.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. He turns the lights off and leaves us in the room with this spinning, glowing globe for the credits. And the credits are done similar fashion to 1984's Dune, just only because recency bias. I've seen it, and yeah, all the characters appear in shots from the film here. Yeah, really lovely for the end with the classic the blood spatter font and the time vocals kicking in right as the credits start rolling. So there you go. Yeah. Not bad at all. What did you think? How did it sink, Gareth?
Oh, man. Well, look, if the VHS had been stopped and I'd been sent to bed after Time Warp, I probably would have been like, yeah, not bad. But then it just keeps, the syncs start coming once it starts getting sexy.
Oh, yeah.
Once it's grown-up time, you
Oh.
can start listening to Pink Floyd.
Some very sexy syncs.
Yeah, some very sexy syncs. So I think it's got to be a very sexy 7 or something. What do you reckon?
I like that. The 67. Yeah, I'm fully on board with that. I was very surprised by the amount of things that were lining up here. As we said before, it's hard when you're doing a musical because there's so many things to keep track of. But yeah, I was catching stuff and I was like, damn, okay, all right. Rocky Horror got hands. All right. Very good. Very happy with that 7. Lock it in.
Yeah.
Plot it.
Draw the 7 however you like, listeners, but just make sure that's a sexy 7.
Oh, yeah.
I'm putting like a little line through my 7 that's a bit curly.
Just dripping with blood.
Oh, hold on.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It felt so good to watch a movie and have some good syncs.
Yeah, man. Oh, we're back.
It's been a while. Yeah. So we thank you, Rocky Horror.
We thank you very much.
And it's made me want to, continue this journey. So I've crunched some of the numbers. I've looked at our 210s. Our 210s are famously Independence Day.
Amazing,
and Jaws.
Yeah.
Both 10 out of 10 movies designed solely to sync with Dark Side of the Moon.
Yes.
So I looked at what they've got in common, and it's obviously sharks and Will Smith. And there's only one film where those two go together, and it's Dreamworks' Shark Tale. So we better sync that.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We're working at the car wash next week.
Oh, man. Very excited. Okay.
Yeah.
Man. Man, that's gonna be a whole journey. Okay.
Right?
Man,
I wonder if anyone in this world, like, their top 2 favourite movies are Rocky Horror Picture Show and Shark Tale.
I hope you're out there, listener, and we're fighting the good fight for you, providing the service.
Yeah.
Sing Floyd Pod on gmail@gmail.com. Sing Floyd Pod on Twitter. Sing Floyd Pod on YouTube. Sing Floyd Pod on Spotify Premium. Spotify not premium with all the good ads in there. Get at us.
Yeah. We're on Facebook and stuff. I'm liking that, like, the people who find us on Facebook, because obviously if you don't pay Facebook, you just get buried. So, yeah, I'm liking that two people keep reacting with the little care emoji every time they see one of our posts.
Shout out if you
guys
care.
are doing it. You're doing well. So if you listen this far, send us a little care emoji.
Please take care of me. I require constant approval.
It does feel like that, like when it's like, because I think it's your brother's been doing it. It's like, he's worried about us.
He is. Oh, what a sweetheart.
Yeah. And speaking of sweethearts, I've been Gareth Blacklock.
I've been Sweet 16 Sweetheart James Barron.
This has been Sync Floyd, and until next time, we'll see you shiver with anticipation.